Christian Gokel coming to you live from our ESPN Coastal Studios here on National Signing Day. And, of course, all of our National Signing Day coverage is presented by Granger Honda, the people's choice there on Chatham Parkway. But really excited to talk to this next guy here, Coach Shawn Quinn from Savannah State. Coach, before we dive into the guys you're able to sign today, just always a really cool day every year in February, right? A lot of young men deciding their futures and getting to play football for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Just a really special day.
Yeah, no, for me, it's a lot of fun. It's a culmination, a lot of work. But man, anytime you get to add good players and they make a decision to come to your place and trust you and allow you to be involved in their career, that's a pretty big deal. And we don't take it lightly. I know I don't as a head coach. I mean, you guys tell you they love you, they appreciate you and what you've done for them. And it's a two-way street because they allow us to, have success and to be able to add some really good players, but more really good guys from some good high school programs right down the road, some of them right where you're at, is really a special thing. And it's like Christmas with multiple presents. I got no complaints on it. Everyone that gets in is like another gift that keeps on giving.
Well, what have these last few months been like for you? Because you've always said since you took over, recruiting is the lifeblood of your program. But with the NCAA's decision to allow players to come back for another year, really kind of hitting you guys when it comes to scholarships, what have the last few months been like for you out on the recruiting trail?
Well, it's been a juggling act because normally, the cycle is, Christian, you have your senior class leave and you replace that class. Well, now you're going, okay, are you coming back? We hadn't played. And, okay, coach, I may play and graduate in spring. And one guy get a job from Wells Fargo. It paid him triple what any of us make here. So, you're just dealing with stuff that you normally wouldn't be dealing with. And so you're sitting there going, okay, normally we'd sign 20 guys because we've got this many scholarships, and now how many seniors? And then, okay, that's how many scholarships we got. So, and then, with all the restrictions due to Corona, we were very fortunate. My buddy, I have two guys that are Power 5 coaches I talk to every morning, and they said, we could play, you guys couldn't. You could go out and recruit, and we couldn't. So it was two opposite worlds. We could go out and recruit and not play, and they couldn't recruit but could play. So,
right.
We're able to, honestly, Christian, there's some guys that we were on that nobody else was in a normal year. They'd have had 10 offers. And so when you see some of these guys, when they'll trot out the practice, you go, how'd you recruit that guy? And I think it's a product of winning and also sinking our teeth into the local areas, but also just, man, there's some good players that were available and still are. Frankly, we could have signed a lot more. We just didn't have scholarships left.
And we're going to dive into the guys that did send in their NLIs today to you guys, but just talk about your coaching staff, talk about the job that they've done, because I think that's really the part that gets missed is, you got the head coach, and he's going to be the guy that comes in as the closer a lot of times, but the groundwork and the phone calls and really the Zoom calls, it's been your assistant coaches really getting this done.
Yeah, I mean, to be blunt, your program's built on what your assistant coaches do. Head coach gets way too much credit. I just happen to be around and shake hands, kiss babies, and all that. Really, truthfully, they do the hard work. Russell DeMasi, who's our recruiting coordinator, he probably hasn't slept in about 2.5 months, I'm willing to say. His anniversary's coming up. I told him, turn his phone off. Do not answer it. It's not that important after today. Up until today, it was DEFCON 9 in importance. But, those guys, like our guys, make the kids feel super welcome on visits. And one thing that's been comes out when you meet with the parents when they get ready to leave and you finish up, hey, let's close the deal. Is, coaches made us feel really welcome. They're very personable, and that sometimes doesn't happen everywhere. And I've been places where it's a little bit more sterile, and we try to have fun and have a good time. I am. So the coach has done a good job, and they're away from their families, and we're out on the road a ton. And I know I drove everywhere. It was interesting. I don't know how many Circle K's I've stopped in and said, where the heck am I? And or Shell stations, marathons, whoever wants to sponsor us, I'll say that's where we stopped at the gas station. But it was a lot of back roads and a lot of driving, but the guys did a great job, and we're able to bring to the table some good players.
And we've talked about your strategy. Really, you're kind of drawing a perimeter outside of the city of Savannah and trying to get these South Georgia guys going up into Atlanta. What was that strategy in 2021? Because again, a lot of the in-person visits were tough just due to COVID and restrictions like that, but you guys hit the road. We're hitting, like you said, a lot of South Georgia towns that maybe y'all hadn't been to before.
Yeah, the other thing, Christian, we got to go see games on Friday nights during the fall when normally we'd be on team meetings or away games, and we were able to evaluate a lot of these local guys. And this, we signed 2 guys out of McIntosh County Academy. We got a guy out of Brunswick. We've got guys that are out of Liberty. Last year we had 3 out of Bradwell, and we've been able to just really focus in Toombs County. Had a really good football player there in DJ Mincy, and just able to get into some of those areas. Malik Walker at Washington County, we got 2 guys there already. And just not only in Savannah with our guys from Islands who are really good football players, and Jordan Clark, who's from Richmond Hill, who's a really good football player. There's a number of other. There's a lot of schools here. Coach Woodward, Coach Britt, all those guys here locally have been awesome. Coach Stroud, and we've got a number of guys from those programs already at our place. And I'll tell you what, the Savannah coaches have opened their doors to us and made us feel welcome. And the kids now know we're a viable option. Before, Savannah State wasn't an option for a guy in the area because for whatever reason, and we've tried to make it that way. And having been at Georgia Southern, we've kind of adopted the Georgia Southern philosophy we had when Jeff Monken was there, going and finding local guys, South Georgia guys. We've not done as much up in Atlanta as we normally would, and because we just did more drivability, and also they fit our, our profile. And we'll go anywhere to find a guy, but if we can find a guy in Georgia and a guy that wants to be at Savannah State, I think that's really important.
And going off of that, Coach, when you guys were going out, what are you looking to identify in a player that you want to make a Savannah State Tiger?
Competitive. That's the first thing I look. I've talked to them, a Pete Carroll disciple. If they got to be innately competitive, and that means that to their core, they want to be good and they are self-driven guys. Because at some point here, if it's to be, it's up to me. I use that with our guys all the time. You're going to have to determine your fate and how good you can become. The strength coach, whoever, can push you to a certain point, but the guys are willing to work and you've got some stick-to-itiveness. This day and age, hey, transfer, get in the portal, do this when things get tough. We want guys that are competitive and just like to compete, and that's been the biggest thing. Obviously, we want guys that can run. We tried to find some big physical guys this year, and we were fortunate to sign some of those guys. But first thing is competitive gene. We're playing, if we're out playing, Frisbee in the backyard, they want to win it every time, whatever that might be.
Absolutely, Coach. And any certain position groups that you guys were focused on, or was it just go out and get the best players?
We're like Noah's Ark, Christian. We need 2 everything. But we felt like we needed it because we do run the football and we have a good tailback that's getting up a little bit. He's a junior. We went out and signed a couple tailbacks. Defensive line, we've got a really good group coming back, but we said a bunch of seniors, so we're going to go from having a bunch to not enough. We got 2 corners. We signed Levante Larry, who had played at Kennesaw State and was from Wayne County. He was really critical for us because we needed an older corner. One thing we've got, and each team's different. I guarantee if you ask Kirby Smart or Chad Lunsford, we have probably more talent than we've had in the past, but we lack some leadership. And so we got out, I said, we got to find some guys that are going to be alpha dogs in this thing, or alpha tigers in our case. And he was one of those guys. And we just need to find some guys who can get in the front of the line and lead the group and have some experience. And he started it and won championships at Kennesaw, and frankly ran out of time in Division I and got Division II. He can play another year. So those kind of guys, and that's why you may still take 1 or 2 more of those kind of guys.
Well, let's dive into the 2021 class here, Coach. I want to start with this guy because I had a lot of fun covering him. I think he might have the best name in the class. Bubba Chisholm, coming from Islands High School. The dude's a football player just through and through, right? Nasty off the edge, can play inside linebacker a little bit. Just tell us what you guys saw in Bubba Chisholm out of Islands.
Well, I thought he was a multiple guy. You usually don't get guys, Christian, that can go from defensive line to linebacker. The thing that stood out to me, he forsake recruiting and said, hey, this is going to help our team win. Much like us, they needed a middle linebacker that could kind of lead the guys, and he was definitely the leader of that defensive unit. And talking with him and visiting with Coach Quinn, the head coach there, just a guy that went to linebacker and kind of shocked them on how well he was. You never have defensive linemen and generally become linebackers. So, you see it in the NFL, tweener guys, and how often that really works out is very rare. He had a great year, and we still think he could play 3 or 4 spots. But physical guy, he shook my hand the other day, told me he was coming. I had to go get it casted up. He got broken. So love those kind of guys. And he really wanted to be here. He from day one, I want to be a Tiger, and he made that really clear to me, and that's important to me.
Well, another guy you got out of there, quarterback Jaden Adams, off that same Islands class. Does he project as a quarterback for you guys, or is he going to play a few different spots?
Here's the thing. I think he's got a chance to be our quarterback long term. And, Christian, with us running the option, one thing that does for us, it gives us flexibility in the roster where every one of our quarterbacks can go play receiver, play slot, play defensive back because they can run. And he's that same way. He could go out and play X or Z at us at receiver. I think long term, he's got really good wheels. He can run. He can throw the football, and his upside's huge. I think he can be our quarterback long term. Now, he's got to come in and prove that, but he gives us some roster flexibility where he can play receiver, he can play quarterback, probably could play defense, but really talented guy, and he can run, and he's awesome, dude. I mean,
well,
looking in the eye.
Him, in high school was for a high school quarterback, especially a running quarterback, he had really good pocket presence where you'd see him step up in the pocket, slide around a little bit, but not to run, to let his receivers get open.
You know, I'll tell you a quick story. Had a chance to be around Jake Delhomme, used to play for the Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
Took him to Super Bowl. When Jake walked in the room, he had the it factor. You just knew you couldn't, there was no measurable, there was no whatever. He just had it. When Jaden walked in the room, he had it. And when he was in that room and I met him the first time, I said, he's got it. And I got a chance to see him play early in the year. He just could just tell by the way he carried himself and went through things that he had it. And that's something you can't measure.
No, for sure. Another guy I want to talk about, Coach, came from a really winning program, but one that hadn't won a whole lot before he got there. Jordan Clark, coming over from Richmond Hill, a part of a really significant run there at Richmond Hill where they won their first region title in forever a couple years ago, went to the semifinals, played against Valdosta in those, or beat Valdosta in that playoff run. Before we talk about Jordan, how much does it mean to you see guys coming out of programs like that where you've seen them establish a tradition of winning?
Big. You know, you go sign a bunch of guys from 1 in 10 programs, you'll have 1 in 10 expectations. And you know, Coach Lazat and those guys, man, they've done a miracle over there and they've turned that thing around. And frankly, we kind of have some of the same philosophies. He and I have visited a lot, and I've seen what he does. They win, they have fun, they're super well coached, and we want to be that same way. And so he's going to come in here with, I call it championship DNA already. He's had an expectation, knowing how to work, knowing how to compete. You know, we got last year Marquell Brown out of Savannah Christian. He came in here already with Baker and his staff, knowing how to win, how to compete. Just like when we get guys from Calvary with Mark Stroud, or we get guys from other schools that are used to winning, there's a certain expectation they got pre-built into them from the day they walk in the building. And that's why I always recruited guys from championship programs, because they've already got that in their system.
Now, Jordan's played on both sides of the ball for Richmond Hill and starred on both sides of the ball. I thought he played his best football on the defensive side. Where do you see him?
Both ways. He's a two-way player for us. We actually had a fist fight in the staff room. I had to break it up. The DB coach and the wide receiver coach got into it and over who was going to get him. So that's always a good thing. But all joking aside, you know, we talked about that with him, was him having a package where he played on defense some, but was at receiver and then was able to come over and play it, whether that be on long yardage situations, nickel package. And that guy, he's going to play somewhere. Again, dodgeball theory, Christian, you go get the best guys and find a place to put them, and you end up with a pretty good football team.
Now, you've spoken to me before about going to get basketball players play on the football field, and Tyrese Jones out of Brunswick High, I think, is a perfect example of that. A guy who came through Brunswick, which is a traditionally great state championship level high school basketball team, but he helped turn that football program around with Coach Shawn Pender down there, and it really culminated his senior year, right, where he set all kinds of records receiving in that wide open Valdosta State style Shawn Pender offense, where he came out of Mike Leach's system. Tyrese Jones, he's just a baller. I mean, you saw the playmaking ability in the city championship against Glen Academy, where he caught the touchdown that ended up winning the game, where he took it off of two guys and took it to the house. I mean, you got a playmaker in Tyrese Jones.
He's you get the popcorn out when he's on film. You know, the guy just brings a different element. He can score from anywhere, and he's one of those guys that you don't have to block all 11. So he's going to be exciting to see what happens. And Coach Pender was awesome, and getting a chance to go down there, sit down with him, visit with Coach Pender, and it was pretty obvious in the first 5 minutes that we needed to have that guy on our football team. So, again, good reason to go down there to Twin Oaks and get some barbecue.
That's
but
right.
Also come out of there with a good football player.
And, Coach, you mentioned MCA. They had a turnaround season there at McIntosh. Great job by their coaching staff. And you saw it. They played some 6A football teams. They're a single A public school, and they stuck it to a couple of 6A football teams. And a lot of that had to do with Trenton Johnson. It's not a lot of times that you see a running back who's 6'3", 240 pounds, but that dude is a load.
Yeah, he got mad. He goes, Coach, I'm at 220 right now. He is a load. He's physical. Here's the irony of it, Christian. Normally, I wouldn't have seen him because I'd be on the road. I actually went to go see Jaquisto Lee, who signed with us from Jenkins County. They were playing McIntosh, visit with Coach Warren at midfield. And he said, hey, I got a tailback I think you need to look at. I watched him warm up, and it was pretty obvious we needed to recruit him. And so we ended up getting multiple guys, Jonathan Coleman, a tight end from Jenkins County. And then we actually signed Ryan Burkhart, who was a tight end long snapper there. So I went to that game and was able to get 4 guys out of that game. So those are fun games to go when you can sign 4 guys at one game. But Trent's a big physical guy, and we've always used the analogy here of big people beat up little people. You know, let him hand it and about carry 26. Let's see in the fourth quarter if people want to arm tackle him or they'll run away.
Absolutely. And again, you mentioned Ryan Burkhart there. That'll be cool when you get a guy who's got the tight end, but he also has that LS next to his name, long snapper. I've heard it time and time again from a high school coach. Learn a skill, and you'll be able to play football at the next level.
Yeah, and I'll be blown. You can go to the NFL if you're good enough at that. And he's got great frame, good parents. His dad's an assistant coach there, and you always want to sign coaches' kids. But Ryan's a great guy, great student, and he can whip it back there. I think they'll have a chance to help us at tight end and also be one of our long snappers.
Absolutely, Coach. And got to get excited when you see an offensive tackle coming in, 6'5", 290 pounds. That's what you got in Jonathan Gunter there from Georgia Military College. Is he a guy that you feel like can play from day one?
Yeah, he walked in. I thought he was about 26 years old. I mean, he looked like I didn't know if he thought the combine was here or something, but he walked in. I think I offered him 2 scholarships. But he's a really good football player, great guy, and man, he was excited. Had a lot of people recruiting him, and he committed to us and stuck with us. And I think he's got a chance to come in. And you know, we haven't done much of the JUCO, but Coach Baker, our offensive line coach, coached at GMC, has a relationship there with their staff, and we've gotten some guys from Georgia Military, and they've been outstanding for us. And you know, when you go there, that's not a typical junior college, Christian. You're wearing a uniform, polishing shoes, doing sword drills. I mean, they got a whole military lifestyle. So those guys come in here, and this is actually a lot easier than going to military junior college. So I'm excited. He's an NFL caliber frame, and he's a guy that scouts when they come in here. They'll be very interested to see him.
I was going to say, I think people will be surprised by how many times you can go and look at an NFL player's bio and GMC is mentioned on there. Coach, before we let you go here, because I know you're not done today, but there's probably some cold beverages waiting for you in the near future. Just how excited are you about this 2021 class?
Say that one more time. I missed that last part.
How excited are you about this 2021 class?
You know, it's really awesome. I'll say that. I think since we've been here, we've recruited some really good players. Man, we hit the home run with these guys, and just the fact that they trusted you in a really tough time in the world right now, and I'm jacked up, to be honest with you. I could drink about 42 cups of coffee.
There you go.
If you hear of a college coach get arrested for streaking, it's probably going to be me. But
there you go.
I'm definitely excited about what we did today, and it's the start of another good run. And you know, just getting these guys from Georgia and really good football players. Heck, you've seen a lot of them play yourself. So to say I'm happy or excited is an understatement. I've been going around fist bumping every coach today about 100 times because we're just kind of pinching ourselves. Did we really get this guy to, you know, because just guys we've always wanted to get here, and to get the guys you really want to get and then be excited and sign, man, that's an awesome feeling.
Coach Shawn Quinn, Savannah State head football coach, kind enough to sit down with us here on National Signing Day. Coach, we always appreciate the time, brother. Thank you so much.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Go Tigers, and let's get together, man. Excited, appreciate what you guys do to promote our program, and one of the reasons we've been able to get in these schools here locally is because of the work you guys have done to promote our program. We appreciate that, and we'll have some fun. So let me know what stunt you need me to do here soon. I'll be ready to go. I'm going to throw my phone in the ocean for about 3 days, and then I'll get ready for – we start spring training camp next Tuesday. So
that's right.
Switching modes like that.
That's right. I'll hold you to that, Coach. And again, second down coming up here in about 5 minutes, and then a big show on 3 and Out coming up at 3 o'clock. Coach, we appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Appreciate it.